Good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Isn't it hard to believe we've reached the end of another working week, and a weekend is upon us once again. The final weekend of meteorological summer. In fact, we end summer on Saturday and begin autumn on Sunday, so it is going to be a weekend of two seasons. In today's video, we are going to look at the prospects of September and essentially how low my confidence is with regards to the overall ideas for September. We will look specifically at the summer just gone. We're going to score the forecast, but that will be coming up in the next few days here. So before we continue with the video, hit that like button and subscribe. Much appreciated as always. There will be a tropical outlook tomorrow, and there will be a live stream on Sunday at 7:30 p.m. So again, like last Sunday, it's going to be at the slightly different time of 7:30 p.m. And it should be an epic one as well, because we're going to be looking a little bit back at summer, scoring the forecast, and we're also going to be looking at the global picture as well. The tropics within the Atlantic remains fairly quiet at the moment, but it does look as if there is indications that we are going to start to ramp things up within the Atlantic basin. This article, by the way, the Europe September 2024 Outlook, will be released tomorrow. It's not going to be released until tomorrow, but we will glance through what I've written, and we will look at exactly what I think September is going to deliver. Like I said, complicating factors. MJO is becoming quite amplified in phase 5. What implications that may have is likely to be dominance of high pressure during at least the first week or so of September. Then the jury is very much out during the mid to second half of the month, especially given you throw the fly in the ointment of the tropics, where these systems develop, if they do, and where the track is going to be quite critical. Now, back in the month of August, we did see Debbie help produce indirectly the hottest day of the year for the UK. Then we had Ernesto recurving over the Atlantic, and essentially what that did was it helped deepen the trough over the northeast Atlantic, and actually, in essence, lay the groundwork for the 12th named storm of the season, which obviously is the most in a calendar year, or a season anyway, September to September, since 2015 when naming began. So in this article, like I say, released tomorrow afternoon, it does kind of summarize the summer just gone. We've got the 500 millibars temperature anomalies for individual June through August months. And then we've got the summer as a whole. Looks as if we're going to wind up slightly below average in terms of the temperature for the whole summer. That would, I believe, and I've harped on about this for weeks now. I hope I'm right in saying this. It would be the first time since 2015 that has occurred. So it looks as if we are ending summer with higher pressure. So let's very, very quickly glance through a couple of the models with regards to the overview, precip, cloud, temperature, and pressure through the next several days or so, and see what the opening to September will bring. Then we're going to throw into the mix the long-term models in terms of both the weeklies and September as a whole, and we'll look at that, discuss that relatively briefly. But this is the initial of the GFS here for now. So Friday, 30th of August, 15 UTC, we've got a 1025 millibar high dominating the UK pattern. So we're going to start off the weekend with high pressure. Then as we progress through the next few days, what's going to take place is that area of high pressure is going to linger around, particularly so across the northern UK, if you notice here, to the east-northeast. Then as we move through the course of the weekend, notice the high shifts to the northeast. We've got a frontal system associated with a 975 millibar low just to the southeast of Greenland. That's going to edge in towards the UK. What it's going to do is it's going to increase cloud cover, southwesterly wind or south wind, and increase the temperature. We may approach 30 Celsius on Sunday afternoon. We're going to have cool nights and warm days, especially under clear skies and light winds. Particularly so tomorrow morning, we could see widespread single-figure minimum temperatures. Then, as the sun gets going, we see the temperatures respond upper teens to low 20s. So we're going to see this quite a large diurnal change between morning and afternoon over the next day or so here. But it's as we progress during the course of later tomorrow into Sunday morning, that southeasterly flow that we've got going in the far south of the UK is going to see thunderstorms developing here over northern France, extending really from central Iberia up the western side of France and possibly moving into the southern UK as we move later Saturday and into Sunday here. But it's keeping our eyes on this frontal system moving in from the west here. It's as we progress through the course of Sunday, we're going to see increased cloud moving from south to north, but we are going to see breaks in that. Notice here this little feature, this area of low pressure just in the far north of France here. That is going to generate some showers and thunderstorms and plenty of cloud cover here as we move through the course of tomorrow. But if we get sunshine, the temperatures are going to rise into the upper 20s. But there's actually, according to the GFS, more in the way of shower and possible embedded thunderstorm activity than first thought, actually, of this model. That moves through, lifts north, and then we're replacing the low back with higher pressure. So according to the GFS, at the surface, we have got a fairly decent area of calm, settled, high pressure dominated weather through week 1 of September. And as we continue to play through the loop, you notice here that the high is centered to the north of the UK, and that's going to be a theme as I continue to discuss this high pressure position to the north. That always opens the door to lower pressure trying to move in from the south here. So this is, keep that picture in mind. High pressure to the north, lower pressure to the south, and always that kind of battle between the high to the north and the low to the south here. But according to the GFS, as we move right the way through the bulk of the first half of September, notice here now the position of the high to the northwest and to the north. We're actually pulling our in more from a northeasterly direction away out Tuesday the 10th of September. Looking at the 850s real quick to see just exactly what air mass we're talking about. So fresher, cooler air coming in out of Scandinavia and into the eastern half of the UK here. So that's an interesting solution, isn't it? So by the time we reach the mid portions of September, according to this one GFS operational, we've actually got a bit of a cold spell coming towards the 10th and 11th of the month. Let's have a look and see what the ECM is looking like here. Back to the overview chart here, and you can see what it's indicating. So we've got higher pressure building in over the next few days here. Slips to the east-northeast. There's that frontal system moving in from the west, south winds, showers, thunderstorms, and quite warm conditions here. Notice with the ECM compared to the GFS, that low lingers a bit more during at least the first half of next week. Then it kind of gets pushed to the south. And again, there's this theme reoccurring, high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south. But how much influence does the low to the south have compared to the high to the north? That's going to be the question. But you can see here as we play through the loop, lower pressure becoming a little bit more established over the UK and Ireland. But that high still stays to the north here, but it's further north compared to the GFS run here. This is all the way out to Saturday the 7th of September. And then again, we've got this kind of blocky look to the pattern. Let's look at another model here. So let's have a look and see what the icon model is indicating here. So let's go back here. Now we've only got the Northwest Europe view, in fact, here. So this is the next few days. High pressure, cool nights, warm days. Play it through the loop here. There's that incoming frontal system. Notice here that that frontal system moves in. Southwest winds. Pattern air mass destabilizes itself as that front and low pressure develops. Then we've got a rash of showers, thunderstorms embedded within that. Then we've got a frontal system that moves in from the north. So that is the relative near term and essentially the week 1 of September scene by the ECM, the GFS, and the ICON model. Let's go over to the article now that I've produced and see what I'm showing for what has September got in store. Starting off with high pressure, then return to lower pressure. Hot start for much of Europe here. We have got a very, very warm air mass over Europe to speak about. But what happens in the tropics could be significant. Overall, in August, Debbie indirectly aided the strongest heat surge of summer for the UK. Then Ernesto helped reinforce a trough and a spell which produced a named storm in its wake. 12th named storm of the season, most in a year since naming began in 2015. So this is the weeklies of the CFS. Notice here that we've got a very, very strong high pressure belt extending from Eastern Canada across the UK and Ireland and into Europe here. We've got a weakness in the high just to the south. So again, this attack of lower pressure developing to the south of the high, trying to build northwards here. How much influence these lows have will very much remain to be seen. Let's see if I can blow this up just a little bit here without cutting too much of the map off. So that's week one. I know it's tilted. North America here, Greenland, Arctic, and there's Europe, UK as well. Into week two, you can see here that the high shifts. This is off the CFSV2, remember. The high shifts to the west, get more of a northwesterly flow. We've got a negative here over Central Europe, extending into France, possibly into the UK and Ireland here as well. But from the south, that high position to the north. Then as we move into the week 3 period, which is the 13th through the 20th, you can see here high pressure generally to the north. That's a bit of an NAO, a negative NAO signal if you notice here. The ridge core over Hudson Bay extending through Greenland and to the north of the UK here. Lower heights to the south. So you get this general overall theme, high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south during at least the first half of the month. But then as the tropics are likely to get going, the question mark will be how much does that shake up and create a ripple effect from tropics into the mid latitudes and then across the Atlantic into Europe. That is going to be the big question, and I'm struggling with this one a wee bit. So you can see here into the following week here, so this is the 20th through the 27th, higher pressure over Western Europe, trough to the west here. So that would be a southerly flow and it would be a warmer signal. This is the GFS extended for the entire upcoming 30-day period. And let's blow this up more and you can see it in better detail here. So you can see here, this is the upper air setup between the 29th of August, 28th of September, and we've got largely higher pressure dominating. We've got the negative, but it's a way up into the Arctic Circle here. So a lot of high pressure dominating the mid-latitude pattern seen by the GFX extended. What does this correlate to in terms of precipitation? Largely drier than average across the bulk of Europe with the exceptions of France and parts of Iberia. We've got a dry Portugal, northwestern Spain, but the majority of the rest of Spain and much of France is wetter or average to wetter than average, which is quite interesting. Temperature-wise, cool across Scotland, slightly warmer the further south and east you go. That's a very similar look to what we've seen during the month of August here. This is the ECM weeklies, and again, very similar to the GFS extended. We've got largely high pressure dominating the mid-latitude pattern here. You would argue that we would have some sort of lower pressure down towards the south of the UK. But again, the position of the region, the core of that high will dictate where the lows develop, what type of flow you get around both the high and the low. It's complicated, I think, really. Notice here that the ECM weeklies have a wetter signal further north here compared to the GFS. So that would indicate that lower pressure down over, notice here, similar to the GFS, we've got this core of wetter conditions north, central, northeastern Iberia, extending up through France. It's wetter for France and the GFS, but it's also wetter up across England, Wales, and eastern Scotland. Drier across the north and northwest here. Also wet across Ireland and Northern Ireland here. That would indicate to me that we've got lower pressure and disturbed weather trying to push northwards here. Temperature-wise, average across the north, slightly warmer than average across the south and southeast. This is the CFS V2 for the month of September, by the way. You've got quite a negative NAO look here. There's a negative across the southern UK and in the northern France here. Higher pressure across the north. So you get the overall idea that the model is indicating quite a high pressure and north displaced high pressure dominance during the month of September. But the question mark is going to be what happens if and when the tropics liven up and waken up. That's going to be the question. Now, unfortunately, the NMME model doesn't have a 500 millibar anomaly for the monthlies, but it does have the temperature anomaly. And you notice here that it's actually average conditions, UK and Ireland, warmer than average across Greenland and the Arctic, much of North America warmer than average. That would, to me, indicate a bit of a northerly block to the north and the west. All in all, I'm going to go with a near average September for the UK and Ireland, warmer than average across the bulk of Europe. And I'm going to go actually with a dry north, wetter south in terms of the UK for precipitation. So that is the idea that I've got for the month of September. I'm really struggling with this one, I must admit. And obviously, hopefully if I've got time on Sunday with the live stream, I will try and look back at the summer in a bit more detail, score the reality versus what the forecast was in that live stream as well. So plenty of reason to stick around here. We're going to be looking at winter coming up next week as well. I'm going to try and do the first winter update next week as well. So the El Nino is obviously long gone. La Nina is becoming stronger. We're seeing Nino region 3.4 continuing to cool as the easterly trades strengthen. The atmosphere appears to be indicating a bit of a response with the SOI starting to go well into positive territory, which means the atmosphere is beginning to see the response of cooling underneath. So a lot of reasons to stick around, like I said. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll all being well be back tomorrow with the tropical outlook, and then the stream on Sunday evening at 7:30. I'm going to try and leave a link in the description below today's video and tomorrow's for that live stream, so stay tuned for that. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Bye for now.